ọdún, mo wá dúpẹ́ oore àtòṣùwòṣù, mo wá dúpẹ́ oore ìgbà gbogbo, èmi náà rèé Olúwa. tóbi Olúwa.
Hello? Hello? Praise God. That was powerful. Hello? Hello, can I have everybody's attention? Pastor Yemi is on a mission. Hello? Hello? Pastor Yemi is on a mission. Sir, the Blessed Assembly, is that?
Good morning. Welcome. Pastor Yemi has a mission. Let's hear what he has to say.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can we have the... Pastor Yemi is on a mission. One of the objective of the Blessed Assembly is transforming our community. Wale said something, we have quite a number of churches already that every member of our community attends. But the Blessed Assembly should be for something that is unique and different. And this session we are about to have is one of the many interesting sessions we will have. One of the many interesting activities that Blessed Assembly will be about. So I want everybody to, I need your attention now, please. Your attention is very necessary because I'm going to call forward two important gentlemen. Individually, if you want to engage them for a session, it costs a fortune. I mean, I know it for a fact. So if Pastor Yemi can bring the two of them together just to engage us, I mean, it's value that we should take very seriously. So I need our attention. I introduced them already. Don't let me bore you with another round of introduction. I'm just going to call them forward to take their seats. Firstly, I'm going to call, where's Mr. Wale Salami? Mr. Praise Forward. A round of applause for Mr. Praise Forward. Please come forward, sir. Mr. Steve Harris. Please take your seat, sir. Where's Pastor Yemi? Please help me get Pastor Yemi and Mr. Wale Salami. While we're waiting for Mr. Wale and Pastor Yemi, Mr. Praise, our conversation today is around how to succeed in America as a Nigerian American immigrant. Very important conversation. Important conversation because for most of us, Mr. Steve, when we left the shores of Nigeria, right, we came to US with the mindset that, you know, everything is going to be automatic for you. You have a job that is waiting for you. The accommodation is there, right? You've had, take your seat, sir. You've had many of your uncles return with all the glamours, right? And the assumption is it is also going to be the same for you. True story, sir. For some of us, when we arrived, we found ourselves on the tarmac. I like to emphasize that, and I don't like why praise. You laugh all the time when I tell my tarmac story. No, no. Okay, okay. I mean, every time I talk about my tarmac story, praise is always laughing, right? And I'm sure it's a story of quite a number of people in our community, and that's why I really want us to take very seriously, right? The conversation again is we are we have a very big community. How can we make the Nigerian community have a similar story to the Indian community, for example? Very strong community. I know, Praise, you talk about it, I mean, most of the time, right? We can't talk about Nigerian independence if that independence is not reflecting in our community individually. We have so many success stories, but that success story seems to be unique to some few set of people, right? So I would love you guys to demystify this. And the way my questions will come, it's actually going to start with each of you taking your round, sharing your personal journey and challenges. I'm going to start with Wale especially. No, no, no. I'm going to start with you. No, 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 no. Before I come to praise, right? Personal journey and challenges, because we're talking about Wale here that has is a veteran. He combines God knows how many responsibility. I mean, earlier yesterday I was still asking, how do you do it? He's been in the US many years long before most of us, right? Right. I think you will be in a better position to do justice to that particular question. So, Mr. Wale, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Afo. Please, can you please put your hands together for our MC extraordinaire? Um, so the question is the journey, right? And I love the fact that Afo emphasized being on the tarmac. If you were not kidnapped to come as if you weren't kidnapped, you boarded a plane, right? And you landed at an airport, so you've been at the tarmac, right? So it's a journey we all can relate with. For me, it's an interesting journey because I spent a larger part of the week in Chicago. Um, yeah, I was in Chicago. I was sent forth by my boss here, Steve. It was there are some like Afo said, I wear so many hats. So one of the hats is to build the Jump the Baptist for the group. We go ahead, seek opportunities, and when we find it, we tell our people to lock in, right? So we're doing something similar like that in Chicago. And it dawned on me that my Chicago was actually the first airport I landed in Nigeria in the US on June 6th. Yeah, June 6th, 2014. Yeah, so I'm officially 10 years in America. And so that was my first experience, being in America. And my final destination was Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I think my connecting flight had like 4 hours delay, right? As we were about to board the final flight to Tulsa, I had my sisters waiting for me in Tulsa with their families. Something happened. As we were packing our bags, they said, "Oh, even if you have first class and everything, just chill. There's this special group of people who are going to board before you." I'm like, "Uh-oh." And they said, "Oh, active duty military service." I'm like, "What?" Where I was coming from in Nigeria, if you say you you are police or they say you are claiming staff, they will first they will first abuse you, right? Uh, Depending on the temperament of the Danfo driver, that's what we decide whether you get a discount on your fare or you won't pay. But it was seen as a bad thing, being in the security forces. So coming to a new country, it was a culture shock for me. Seeing a whole like uh, airport, giving them that kind of respect. That that was the day I joined the military because I was like, who are these guys? I need to be part of them. And as God would have it, 3 months later, I raised up my right hand and pledge allegiance to the United States. It's been a wonderful journey. I used to tell people that joining the military was the best career decision I could ever make, because the military is when I came to America, my first degree is in mechanical engineering. And if you understand mechanical engineering very well, it's like the father of engineering, right? It's about understanding concepts, like what makes things to come together, right? So when I got to America, the first thing I wanted to understand is what made this country come together. And I won't say so much because Praise, I will scatter a lot of things. Praise will help me rearrange because he owns some research, some papers, white papers on on races in America, right? I wanted to understand what made this country, and that's why I joined the military. Why? Because I discovered that the U.S. Army had existed even before America was created as a country. In fact, it used to be called, it was more like a guerrilla army. There was a rebellion against the British, right? So I was like, okay, so if I join this organization, I'll be able to understand how this whole thing, became the United States of America. And it's an amazing experience. Um, there are so many classified stuff that I won't bore you with here. Um, but I have two daughters, right? And I tell them like jokingly or every day, like you must pass through the military. I don't care if it's one day you're serving. Why? Because it builds character. There are some things that come natural to you. Like if you pass through the military organization, uh, some things will just become natural to you. And then we usually joke that the U.S. Army is the largest, the biggest leadership training organization in the world. In the world. Why? Because when you join the U.S. Army, it's like there's an open check from the government for you. They don't care. Like Uncle, they don't care how much they spend, as in they spent on you, on a soldier. Why? It takes like 6 months to build a soldier, and from that they want to the last training, the government takes care of everything. Of course, I mean, as an immigrant, you know why I joined the military. I wanted to fast track my citizenship, right? Yeah, so I came in, I got my citizenship after 3 months. Um, yeah, the next day I filed for my wife because that was one of the reasons I joined. My wife was still in Lagos. And as a married person, you understand that if you're in a place and your wife is not there, you have not relocated, right? So my second leg was still dangling in Lagos. Yeah, and I got out of I did that. It was an amazing experience. I immediately I joined. I inherited 2 million brothers and sisters, right? Because once you wear the uniform, nobody cares what you look like, what your color of your skin, the tone of you just become, you belong, right? I remember an experience I had on the day we graduated from basic training in June. I was the only soldier without a family member on the field. And if you know the military tradition, all soldiers will be called out. And it takes somebody who knows you to come and bring you out of there. If not, you right? And people were coming, once they touch you, you can go, right?
Okay.
Uh,
So Wale,
yeah.
the military story, we can go on that forever, right? You're going to continue from no, you're going to continue from where you stopped now, right? But the military background is one perspective to it. There are other perspectives. You understand? So I would want to skip Steve, now move over to Praise. And for Praise, you're not touching on just your own story, right? I also want you to touch stories of people that you've consulted, like people you've coached, people that have shared personal story with you that you don't necessarily need to tell their story, right? What is it like transiting from Nigeria and finding yourself in a country like US, and what are those things that you can do to really navigate those challenges?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Wale. Incidentally, when I landed on the tarmac, it was Wale that picked me up from the airport. Right. In fact, I landed, I wasn't sure who was going to pick me up. Then someone said, your money or your life. Right there and then. And I was like, am I in Lagos? Then I looked around, it was Wale and Major. All right. Wale was my mentee. It's been my mentee in Nigeria, and I love him so much because it's one of the most loyal human beings you can connect with. Now, one of the things I always say to people is that if you're going into a new country, one of the things you can do is to be sure you have a community that you will land in their hands. From research, I learned before I left Nigeria that the community you land in their hands when you land in America will most likely determine your fate. So if you land among the people who are, doing illegal things, you are the next in line to become an ambassador of illegality. If you land in the midst of the people who are really, really doing well, the numbers they are calling will be challenging you, and you can do less than that. If you also land among the people who will tell you, America is very tough, it's very hard, you need to combine 3 jobs, you'll be the next storyteller. So I learned that before I left Nigeria. So before I left Nigeria, I knew Wale was in America, Major was there, I had a cousin, so I'd already set up what looks like a community. Now, living Nigeria, I've lived in Canada, I've lived a bit in the UK, and so I have a bit of foreign experience, like many people. And one of the things I said to myself was that I was going to start from the scratch in America. And so I started watching videos. There are so many videos about American history. And so I was watching the videos. I was talking to some of my friends who were in America. So I asked one of my white friends, I was like, what's the fastest way to making it in America? And she said something. She said, when you land, join Rotary. They are the owners of the land. You will pretty much figure out your way. So I held that in my hand. So I asked her again, I said, what is the code of the US? And she said to me, Praise, have you gone through the national anthem? I said, yeah, I know the first stanza. I've memorized it. I know how to sing it. As if when you land, they will ask you to sing national anthem. Said, did you go through the other stanzas? I said, no. Said, go and go through it and come and tell me what is common in all the stanzas. So I went through all the stanzas. I noticed that every stanza ended with, is a land of the free and a home to the brave. So my next meeting with her, I was telling her, I said, well, I noticed that the land of the free. Said, those are the 2 things you need. You must be free-spirited and you must be audacious. He said, if you are not free-spirited, if you believe in us, there are things that can be done. He said, America has gotten you, you'll be in prison. He said, and if you are not audacious to say, let me even try it. If I die there, I die there. He said, then you may not make it to the top here. And so when I landed, fortunately, Wale was already in America, Major was already in America. And America, if you know America very well, not having one information in America can set you back by 10 years. So the moment I landed 18th August 2021. Wale picked me up, went to my cousin's place. The following day, I resumed at work. My cousin's dining, right? And so I was there from morning till evening. I was just researching, and that was all I was doing. Now, I have studied the Indian community. I know how they operate. The sad thing is that, and that's one of the things I think we're going to fix, right? That in the Indian community, once you landed in any place at all, you just needed to find them out. They will show you the way. They will find, because I lived in Canada, we're going to change house in Canada one day, and that experience never left me. And then we went to this house we're supposed to take, and we saw 11 Indian families living in that one house. And so I asked them, there was bed everywhere. Everywhere was like a mad house. So I was asking them, how did you guys manage 11 families living here? And they said, when we got to Canada, we realized that it cost $2,700 for a house. And it didn't make sense that 11 of us would be giving landlords $2,700 each. So we decided to stay together, and we took a decision that until the 11th family got their 3rd house, we were not going to leave. And so I said, so why are you guys leaving? He said, well, we are just celebrating the 11th family who just bought their 3rd house. So I said, where are you going? He said, we're going to replicate the model. And my mind sank to say, and then you have 2 brothers who can live together in America because everyone is trying to build their big houses, right? So I had all this information. So when I came in, I called Wale, and I remember from the time I came, the second day there was a meeting downtown. That's your club. Wale had joined one exclusive club. Only whites are in that club. I think it was the only black and Major. So they invited us downtown, went downtown. And while I was in downtown, interestingly, I knew the clients I was going to have. I wanted to work with churches and, a community and stuff. And so I knew someone who was close to someone who could give me a big breakthrough. So I was talking to this guy. Introduce me to your boss now. I just need one chance. told me, my boss, you cannot, you need to go to Nigeria, go and get a note from Daddy G or Mommy G. You cannot see him. The guy is busy. Blah, 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 blah. And that's what our people do, right? We don't share access. And I think it's witchcrafty, really. Yeah, we don't have to suffer what the people were here suffered. Every generation should be an improvement on the whole generation. So I went to Wale's meeting, sat at the table. A guy was drinking wine, toasting, right? And so I sat in front of the guy. The guy said, "Oh, you just came in." I said, "Yes." Say, "What do you?" Okay, that was the first place I met Olabi as well, right? So what do you do? I said, "Oh, I'm a family life coach, and then I help churches set up systems." And he said, "Who are you trying to meet?" I said, "I'm trying to meet a man called Pastor Fidel." And they told me I can't see him. The guy said, "That's my pastor now. Come to our church on Sunday." Said, "I must tell you, after service, walk up to him. If you can impress him in 5 minutes, he will open the doors for you." So I went there on Sunday. After service, I moved to the guy, spoke to him in like 5 minutes. He said, "I want my wife to be on seat. Can you come to my office on Thursday?" That was how I got an appointment to meet with him. And the rest is, I can't share what has happened since then. But what I'm saying to you is this. We set up an African community almost immediately to say, you know what, Wale, let's start to meet. And so we're meeting from house to house. I think monthly we're having monthly hangout. Someone will host us. And in those meetings, there are information I got. For example, there was a day we were in Wale. Wale was sharing with us. I did not know that if you live in a ranch or something and you can buy 2 animals, even if it's 2 rabbits, you'll be classified as one of the people producing food for America. You won't pay tax again. I didn't know until I went to that meeting, right? So I'm talking about the power of community. See, life can be very hard and tough if you're new in America, right? If you don't have the right community. But final thing I'm going to say is that I was having a conversation with Reverend Sam Adeyemi, who is my mentor, our pastor. He had gotten here before us as well. So he was in town. Steve was there. And he was sharing with us America and relating America to Canaan. And it was like, do you guys remember that in the Bible, they sent spies to go and check Canaan? And when they got there, they said we were like grasshoppers. And so Reverend Sam was saying to us that, did you guys bother to study why they felt they were like grasshoppers? We said no. He said in ancient civilization, right, that Canaan was one of the most sophisticated cities, one of the first cities that had high rises. These guys were coming from the wilderness. You now said they should go and spy Manhattan. If you stand in Manhattan and you're looking at all those areas, you look like grasshopper, true. He said that was what happened. He said, but when you are intimidated, you must have a spirit that can conquer. So I took that in because the first thing America did to me, Steve and I, we were big guys in Nigeria, as in big of the big.
We're still big guys.
We were the biggest guys in the consulting space, speaking space. Steve and I had been doing jobs that we were paid $1 million for 23. There was a job we did $1 million for 23 days, $1 million per day. So we're big. The first thing America does to you is that you just suddenly become small, as if you are lost. You are not even lost in America. You are lost in Dallas, because you can't conquer Dallas yet. Then you're talking about America. So it just shows us where we were. Then the next thing is that you are confused. Where do I start from? Do I knock on people's houses? What do I do really? Right? And so that was my experience. I felt very small. But then I just activated my spirit. It's the land of the free, home to the brave. I joined Rotary almost immediately. First Rotary I joined in Irving. I went for the meeting. It was a Thursday. The first thing they asked me was, "Are you looking for someone?" I said, "No." He said, "Because we've never had an African member." Say, "Your people never come for this meeting." So I sat in there. I said, "Well, you guys must adopt me." But you see, the moment I got in there, I started getting some information that really helped, right? And so I started from scratch. And another thing I learned is that, you see, don't live above your means. There is no hurry to go and rent a house. Get an apartment. There's always something for your level, right? Get something that, if you can't squat, if you don't have people that can take you in, get something that you can fairly afford. See, nobody's coming to look for you and say your house is not beautiful. And no matter how kept your house is, one thing I tell people is that once you see what you pay as rent, right, monthly, it should tell you your real status before you left Nigeria. What some of us are paying as rent monthly in America should tell us that Banana Island is where we should actually, that's our real level.
Yeah.
Are we together? So, because the bills can so mess you up that you don't appreciate yourself. That maybe our true status was hidden by Nigeria. America is not really showing us that maybe we're in Nigeria, we can, I mean, if you had asked some of you to pay 2 million naira as rent monthly in Nigeria, you will say, lie, you go to Yanokwaja. But we're not doing it in America. We're doing it, right? And so I think for me, America showed me how small I was, but it also showed me that there's an indomitable spirit in Africa that you can always figure out your way. And with the right community, I think your journey can be a bit easier, seamless. And if you are not lazy, and if you're not, because Wale told us from the day we landed, he said, don't let the idea that you can beat the system cross your heart. If there is that idea cross your mind, that's the devil. They are going to catch you. So don't even attempt to do anything illegal. Keep your records, keep it straight, and we follow this advice. Yeah, we are not where we want to be, but we're not doing too badly, I must say. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that is consistent between the two of you. A round of applause for Praise and Wale. Consistent between the two of you is community, right? You know, and it's better late than never. In my own situation, when I landed on the tarmac, mommy, I moved from tarmac to tarmac, unfortunately. Moving from tarmac to tarmac, for people that can relate with me, Olabi, you understand now. So from tarmac to tarmac is you landed on tarmac, the person that received you, the first thing he handed over to you is your phone with DoorDash, the second phone with Uber, the third phone with Spark. You know, for some families that are familiar with me today, the Spark in Spark Explorer and Spark Scholar came from Spark, interestingly, right? But it's actually never late, okay? Because eventually when I met, and the power of community, very important. My apartment was next to Taufik's apartment. The same way you guys were big guys in Lagos. Me and Taufik were also big of the biggest guys in Lagos, right? I was the head of LBS Small Business Group, 6,000 SMEs in Nigeria. I was the president. Obama invited me in 2016 as one of the Nigerians that were celebrated. But when I got to Nigeria, I got humbled. So when I got to US, I got humbled. Then I met Taufik that was also next to my apartment, and I said, Afu, why are you going back and forth? Why do you need an F1 and all of that? With your status, you have everything. To get your green card without issues, I didn't have this information. That's the power of community, right? And when Taufik introduced me to Wale, introduced me to PF, and the first thing he said, what I've asked you to do is what all these people have done. And I said, really? He said, yes. Putting my paperwork together, the Taufik that introduced me to the right way of doing things, he had submitted his own paperwork even long before me. But I made my own submission December 29th. January 4th, my petition was approved. A month later, my green card was issued. I tell people, I said I got my green card in 1 month. People don't understand what I mean. Anyways, power of community. Mr. Steve, now you also want to share your own tarmac. Was it tarmac to tarmac? Oh.
No, I didn't have any tarmac to tarmac. One of the things that I've learned is America gives you a choice, right? You would either decide to manage your circumstances or you would decide to manifest yourself. And I'm going to explain very, very briefly. When I came to the US, I came with slightly over $100,000. So money was not my issue. I remember because I landed December 21st, something like that, 2021. And I went to visit my sister who also lives in Dallas. She was having a Christmas party. And so she organized something like this. There were a lot of Nigerians there. And she was introducing me, oh, this is my brother, yada, yada, yada. And so, said hi to everyone. And you know how guys are when we get into a conversation. Our conversation is all about business. Oh, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? IT, 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 IT. What do you do? I said, well, I'm an executive coach. I'm a business strategist. Okay, you know, go work here. I was like, why? They're like, see, this is America. It's not going to work. You need something to do, yada, yada, yada. They spoke. And I found myself getting incredibly intimidated. I was so intimidated by the conversation because the guys were telling me, drive the Uber, drive the DoorDash, and no disrespect to anyone who has, right? No disrespect to anyone who has. That's the choice, that you had to make. You needed to do what you needed to do. But I was intimidated. And I remember 3 days after that Christmas party, I wasn't myself. And my wife said to me, she said, what's the problem? I was like, well, we're here. And yes, we've got some money saved up, but everyone is advising me to do the whole, 9 to 5 thing. I haven't worked for anyone since 2010. We've run our own businesses. We've been incredibly successful. So how am I going to, make this thing happen? Long story short, my wife says to me, she asked me this important question. She says, if we were still in Nigeria, would you take advice from these guys? And I said no. She said, why? I said, well, respectfully, I've probably made more money than they have. I'm in the top 1% in my industry. I have awards and recognition that these guys perhaps don't have. So respectfully, I would not take advice from them. So she said, so why are you taking advice from them now? And so I decided that I was going to, despite all the odds, manifest myself. Praise and I came with the same kind of visa. It's an extraordinary ability kind of visa, which unfortunately means that you can't get a job. So all the options, and don't get it twisted, the options were there to use people's documents and the things that we do to get away. But I recognized within myself that I needed to prove within myself that I'm the same man, irrespective of the country that I'm in. And so I took the tough decision for 2 years not to be able to get a job, to hustle my coaching and the things that I do to be able to make a living. And it was hard. And that's where community comes in. And again, everyone has talked about Wale, and he is undoubtedly one of the kindest, really, really good people who actually looks out for you, right? So America gives you the choice, in my opinion, to either manage the circumstances at the hands that you've been dealt, or to decide to manifest yourself. I'll give you one more example because I know that we're short for time. As a coach, as a thought leader, one of my biggest dreams has been to be on the stage with all the thought leaders that I admire globally. And I came to Nigeria, I came to the US, not to Japa, as we say, not to escape. I came here to be globally repositioned. And I know it sounds like English, but I didn't come here to escape. I wasn't running from anything. But I'm here because I needed to be able to amplify the things that I'm doing. And Praise talked about it, audacity. So I remember that I joined this network of thought leaders and coaches. These guys were making, I kid you not, like $1 million a year. And I was in this community of, please forgive me, I don't mean to be racial, but like white people. And I found myself getting some sort of inferiority complex. And this is crazy because I've schooled abroad and all those things. I had that kind of experience. And here I was a little bit intimidated by all these guys who are doing stuff. And something said to me that, you know what, I can be on these big ass stages too. So out of fear, I reached out to, one tech platform that has, their valuation is about $5 billion. And I said to them, you know what, if you guys are organizing anything, I'd love to speak at your conferences. See, before I decided to send that email, it took me 1 week because I was scared. Like, what the heck would happen to me? If they say no, it will hurt my pride. It would hurt my emotions. It would make me feel that I wasn't even good enough. So I procrastinated for a week. Then I sent the email. And then literally like a day later, they were like, oh my God, Steve, we're organizing this event. Oh, it's a good thing that you reached out. Can we jump on a call? I was like, duh, like that. I get on this call with them, and the lady who's the head of events and programs, we get on the chit chat. We talk for about 15 minutes. She was like, Steve, you're done. We want you to speak on this platform. I spoke to 3,000 Americans, right? So what am I saying? Don't lose sight of your dreams because you're trying to make it happen. You weren't escaping. You were successful in Nigeria. So if you come here, and please forgive me, join the rat race, you're still a friggin' rat. So stop being a rat. Associate with the right kind of networks. Push yourself, have a bit of audacity, believe in your dreams, and manifest yourself, guys. Yeah.
Steve, I think you actually spoke to what was going to be my second question, right? But I would want Wale to take it from there, right? And it's actually related to success and resilience. I shared my very personal story, which is about tarmac to tarmac, right? And for quite a number of people, particularly in our community, we are still in that situation. So I want you to speak to that, that transitioning, right? Is it too late to detach from that? Is it too late to retrace, our steps? There are quite a number of mistakes that some of us have made. I really don't want to go into some details, right? And people obviously would need people to talk to, right? I've had a conversation with someone that the situation he finds himself was actually even at the instant of the church he goes to, unfortunately. You understand, right? So talking about retracing your steps, the resilience that goes with it, you want to speak to it and, telling people that yes, it's never too late.
Yeah, thank you very much, Afo, and thanks, Steve, and Praise. Um, is it too late to have a retrace your stuff? There's a Chinese proverb that says that no matter how long you've gone on a wrong direction, the moment you realize you're wrong, just turn back, right? Because you don't keep going and say, "Oh no, I've gone far." I can't go. No, and it's the same thing with life, right? For me, my perspective about America changed the day I read a report that said that America as a country produces 6,000 millionaires every year with an M, without prayer and without prayer and fasting, no isoji, right? Like because it works like a machine. This system works like a machine, right? And it's garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you put in is what you get, right? If you're lazy, you will see the fruits of the laziness, right? For me, I love what Praise and Steve echoed about being audacious. Audacity, nobody can nobody can pray that into you. You got to be audacious, And if there's anything I want to hand over to my kids, is the fact that like if anybody is doing it, you can do a better job. I remember my daughter, my first daughter, last year she won an award, from the president. In each school they give presidential award to the best top all A honor roll student. So this year we switched schools for them, and then we were having a chat. I usually take them out on every month on a one-on-one date. So I was like, so how's your new school going? She said, oh, it's fine. I said, so who do you think is the smartest person in the class? She was like, we haven't had a test yet, so we don't know yet. I'm like, okay, okay. The African dad, the Nigerian dad in me just woke up. I'm like, you don't need the test to know you are the best, right? And it's not just in talk. It's in as in we have to be mindful of that because this system works over time to beat it out of them, right? To beat it out of them, like Praise said about the Israelites going to a place and saying, "Oh, we are like grasshoppers." Let me give you an instance. We currently we own a farm, right? Like 5 acres outside of Mansfield. I remember the first time we put an offer on the property. We put an offer on the property. Immediately they saw the name. There's some names you see. I'm like, okay, this one is no. It doesn't look like the people that can afford it. The next thing they did was to call the bank to ask, okay, are they joking? Is this fraud and all of that? And one thing I have learned talking about community is when you're doing a new deal, especially a very big deal, don't go with new people. Do not go with new people. Like if you're my friend, if you're a realtor, I am Cano 100 realtor, you are the one I'll do my deals with. So the realtor on that deal was somebody I served in the U.S. Army with, right? So I've known him for like 5, 6 years. So when they called the bank, the VP happened to be somebody who has, I mean, our husband and I served in the US Army. So when it's like, are you sure? You were like, who? Mr. Salami? I've done 4, 5 properties for him. Right? He can definitely, he can definitely afford it. Till the day we closed on the property, huh? Even when I showed up to collect the key, I could see the days on the on the realtor. Uh, because of course she was probably expecting somebody old, haggard. Because I mean that's a mentality they've had, right? For me, I always excuse people when I get that kind of treatment, right? And that's one thing Nigeria has done for us. The fact that we know who we are. We are not confused about that one. Eh? We are as in we are children of kings, right? We know where we're coming from. And we didn't arrive on a boat. It's a decision that we made to come here. But guess what? The people you are meeting do not know that, right? I've been telling people that the average, because immigration has become a political thing. The average American doesn't have a problem with immigration. No, they do not. The problem comes when you begin to go for the things that they believe you shouldn't go for, right? I don't want to go too much in that lane. But talking about transitioning, it's very simple. Number one, stop going to where you are not celebrated. See, there are some people you need to stop inviting to your house. It's as simple as ABC. Because guess what? You will never go above the network that you belong to. And I don't care what the name of that place is called, whether it's a church, whether it's a. Once you realize that these people are not helping me, they're not pushing me to where I'm supposed to go, leave. Take a leave. You're not a tree, right? I recently had to send a message to somebody that don't come to my house again. Like we're not fighting. No, okay. Olabi is laughing because Olabi knows the details. And Olabi is one of the nicest person I know. He was like, Wale, why are you doing that? I said, okay, just pack, right? Because in life, you have to make those kind of decisions. You know why? Because one thing I have realized is that most people don't know how to treat you. If you know what you carry, you realize that you're not supposed to be in some relationships. Because their goal is to mess up your mental health, right? To make you feel like you don't deserve, you don't want anything, right? You owe it to yourself and to your God to ensure that people like that you cut them off. That's one. So yeah, you need to cut off some relationships that don't serve you, right? Because there are some places you go to that they see you is like they are seeing Beyonce. Please go to places like that more, right? Because it helps your ego. It helps you to think better, right? And then join association. I was happy when Praise mentioned Rotary. I was one of the people that also preached Rotary to him. Interestingly, last week I just got elected as the incoming president of the Rotary Club in my city, right? And guess what? If you come to our club, I'm the only black guy there, right? See, if the only place you go to are the places of people that look like you, then there's a problem with your self-confidence, honestly. Because when you get to the place like that, your self-confidence will shake. But that's where you need to be. You know why? Because when you are there, the fact that you are different from the rest of them gives you an edge naturally. Natural edge, right? When as in this particular stuff, they were supposed to nominate people to vie for the seat. Immediately I said I was interested. One of them said, Wale says he's interested to become president. None of us can contest again. I was like, what do you mean? He said, because there's no need, right? Why? Because I was different from the rest of them. It's as simple as ABC. And then another thing is, I don't believe anybody is better than me, right? That is it's a dangerous statement, right?
Yeah.
It is a very dangerous statement. But for you to be successful, you need an healthy dose of pride, of arrogance, right? I remember I spent the last 3 years at AWS, Amazon Web Services, and I switched jobs to a new role. Actually, they came to poach me. So when I came in, I was at middle level, and I had some people that don't look like me who had to like report to me, right? So I was on one-on-one with one of them, and I was telling him, okay, your sales numbers are dwindling, do this, do that. And the guy told me to my face that, Wally, I'm sorry, I think that's a waste of my time. I said, okay. I said, no, wahala. I said, he said, what did you say? I said, don't worry. I said, let's end the meeting. I just ended the call and I set up another meeting with him and his boss. And he was like, he saw the invite. He was like, why am I? I said, don't worry. When he came and I, pushed out the whole thing, even it was the boss that was lampooning him that, what is wrong with you? You have issues. Somebody is trying to help you. And you are making him out, right? In corporate America, you need to understand what you carry. Because most times, because of the color of your skin, some people will want to tell you, they will make you look like you don't know what you're doing. Right? Don't ever cower. Like because we all go through that stage where you be like, is it the same? They wouldn't give you that job if they don't think you can do it. Right? So go in with full confidence and make your mark. Like make your mark. The last thing I would say is join a community. There was a quote that I got from Pastor Kojo Imade. He said, if there's a party that they're having and you love it and you want to join, they don't allow you to join. He said, start your own party. I have used that everywhere I go. If I see somebody is doing that, I'm like, okay, let's do our own. They told you we have communities. There are about 10 of them that I've joined, right? Like if there's nothing that is existing, start one. When I came to America, when I joined the military in 2016, I started a cooperative. What do we do there? We like Ajo, right? 500 every month, you get 6K, 1,000 every month, you get 12K. I bought my first car with cash. I don't have to even do, right? To do that is simple. Do you know 6 people that are honest? Put them together, do WhatsApp group. Tell them, bring this amount. It's very easy. If you have friends that you can't do business with, just stop responding to their messages. They will get it, right? Because this is serious business. All right, Afo.
All right. So I still want, you've shared your own perspective to resilience, right? Praise. Perspective. The same resilience and how to transit, you are retracing your steps. You've made the mistakes, he gave the Chinese experience that you turn back when you're going to run.
Well, I think I agree absolutely with what Wale has said. And let's not forget, especially you never lived in Nigeria before. That's what we say in Nigeria. Naija no dey carry last. Right? That must drive you everywhere you go. Incidentally, I think Wale and I feed on the same materials and we're cut from the same cloth. I sit in the room and I do not believe anyone in the room is better than me. You may have a better opportunity. You may have a first mover's advantage. But you see, you may have better technology. But when push comes to shove, if it's result we're looking for, I do not believe you're better than me. It's an arrogant statement like Wale said, but that's my belief. And I'm entitled to my belief. Right? And so, one of the things I have realized in here is that if you don't quickly set your standard and how you want people to address you, they're going to mess you up, especially if you have the kind of skin that we have. And they have had a lot of bad news about Nigeria, and you can't blame them, justifiably so. Some of them have been maggoted by some guy who sat in Lagos, and he says, I think I met a white guy, and he was saying that he wants to marry, he's looking for a wife in Lagos. So I said to him, let us help you verify, right? Because we can easily get maggoted. And so you can blame people when they rate us by their experience. But what we need to do, and that's why I always say to people, when people say bad things about Nigeria, I always say to them that, I'm the Nigerian, and I'm going to give you a new experience about Nigerians.
Yeah.
And one of the things you need to know, and it's very bad, and I'm going to say that carefully, I've gone back and forth to Nigeria, and the vibe I get, and that's why my brothers who are here, whatever we can do to support ourselves, we've got to do it. The vibe I get from our people back home, especially for those of us who came to America in the last 5 years, is that people don't actually expect us to succeed in America. They're expecting us to fail and come back to Nigeria so that they can say, okay, they japa and they have japada. I'm sure you've had those conversations.
Yeah.
And so I always say to people, your spirit must be on top. You cannot afford to give up. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna fail here and there. But they say tough times don't last, but tough people do. So I often say to people, I mean, I was in a meeting, and for those of you who are watching me online, you've had me say it. I joined Family Life Coaching Association in America. I was the first African member they will have. I worked my way to the executive level, and I did what has never been done before. I mean, they appointed me at the executive board as a conference planning planning committee. And these are all professors. I was the only non-professor in the group. And then it was my conference to plan. And so I felt, why would we keep this conference in Raleigh, North Carolina every year? I'm going to move it out of Raleigh. And so they said, you're on your own. So I said, okay. So I went to Texas State University, got all the things that we needed to get in there. So I announced, we're going to have this conference last year in Texas. And then all hell went loose. I didn't know what the problem was. They used to hold the conference. I did not know that $1,000 extra that many of them were going to spend was a big issue. I did not know. So I thought they were professors. I mean, what's $1,000? All right. So by the time the conference held, it was highly successful. Some of them didn't even come. They joined online. It was later, and I was supposed to serve for 2 years, so they kicked me out. They said my tenure had ended. Right? And so I was like, what's going on? So someone who was in there now came to me and said to me, I said, Praise, the big issue was that you made them spend, you took them out of their comfort zone. Well, it wasn't a problem for me. But guess what? So I went quiet. This year they were going to do Global Family Life Day. I was still the one they came to come and say, Praise, you are the only one we know can actually move this event. Come and speak, right? And so what I always say to people is that you have to show that nobody's better than you in the room. I've been in a room full of whites, and then one guy made a racial slur and wanted to introduce me and said, black man, introduce yourself. Now I stood up, and that's why I'm going to appeal to every parent. Please know your history and teach your children their history. Some of your children are royalties back in Africa. They are still royalties here. Drum it into their head so that they don't bow down to people that at best should be slaves. And the guy called me a black man, and I stood up to introduce myself. And I said to them in the room, I am a descendant of the ancestry that made the first smart city in the world. It's called Benin Kingdom. And all of them went quiet in the room. And I say, Google is your friend in case you don't know. And all of them went on Google. And they started seeing the greatness of Benin Kingdom. They started seeing the wall of Benin Kingdom. I said, check the bronze that some of your people stole from Africa and check how much they were auctioning it for. One guy actually checked and saw that one of the bronze, whatever, was auctioned for $7 million US. And he stood up and he was like, I never knew that. I said, now you know. What do you still have to say about me? And I dropped the mic. During tea break, everyone treated me differently. That meeting, I learned that if you don't tell people how you want them to address you, they will address you anyhow. And it won't be their problem that they're addressing you anyhow. Right? And so you need to know, never forget, Niger, no, they carry last anywhere you find yourself. Thank you.
Mr. Steve Harris is actually going to take the final question on this round. We'll take a break afterwards to have lunch. Then we can come back for question and answer. I'll take questions from the audience. So, Mr. Steve, I want you to speak to, because at the end of the day, it still borders on who is your mentor, where are you getting advice from, right? We've talked about the importance of being resilient, right? The importance of community, okay? But when it comes to seeking advice and mentorship, particularly the environment we find ourselves, where should be the right place to go? And how, as an individual, will I identify that this is the right person to have as my mentor?
Sorry about that. So that's a great question. I think the short answer is jumping off something Prey said at the end, which is going out of your comfort zone. It's really hard talking when people are eating, but it's about getting out of your comfort zone. I'll ask a question, and I don't mean to be rude. I tend to ask questions that hopefully provoke, the right kind of answers. If we look within our circles, all of us within the room, how many of us can say, and I don't mean this in a negative way, please don't get offended. How many of us can say that we have friends who are not our skin color? How many of us can say we have white friends, black friends? I think he's in the room. Most of us do not. We are comfortable in our culture. And unfortunately, with the comforts in our culture, peace, yeah, that's taking, was taking a picture, was my best side, right? The challenge sometimes when we are united in our culture is we display the same kind of habits. Can I say something that I hope will not offend us? I'm going to say something. If you're offended, I'm sorry in advance, but I may offend you. Trying to sprinkle a little. um, this room, with no sense of disrespect, we can move this room from where we are here in Dallas and move it to Lagos, and there would be no difference. We can't tell in this room, no disrespect, that we are not in Nigeria. And I'm not saying that from the perspective of, oh, we're speaking English, or can I give you an example? So first off, the music was fantastic. That's our culture. It was our music, it was our thing. And please forgive me. Again, please forgive me. Right? We need to be Nigerian first and tribal last. Can I say this again? We need to be Nigerian first and tribal last. So what do I mean by this? No disrespect. So the music was played, fantastic playlist. I enjoyed it. I'm not Yoruba. Did you hear me what I just said? I'm not Yoruba. But the music was fantastic. It was Yoruba music. No disrespect. So I didn't feel, forgive me, represented. These are my brothers. They don't even, I don't think Wale is aware that I'm not Yoruba. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So we do not relate on he's Yoruba, he's this Igbo boy, that, that sort of thing. Until we come into a place as Nigerian and a Yoruba person, an Igbo person, a Benin person, a Hausa person can find expression in the same room as Nigerians, we will only be putting our tribal sentiments at bay. When our culture comes together, no disrespect. I was embarrassed. Hold on, I can't, bro, what's your name again, sir? Yeah, pepping your step. Yeah. Jason. We got here, again, no disrespect. It's a family meeting, in it, right? We got here, this meeting was supposed to start at 2 p.m. I came fashionably late. 5 minutes late, I was in the parking lot. Praise came literally a minute after. Wale came a minute after. So by 2:06 we were here. We walked in. Pastor said, "Oh, unfortunately, we can't get in. They started a little. They gave us access a little bit late. Yada yada yada." Jason walks in. He meets us in the car park in the parking lot. We're having a conversation, three of us. And Jason says, "Oh, has it started yet?" We said no. And Jason says, Nigerian time. I was so embarrassed to be Nigerian at this moment. Why? Because where 2 or 3 Nigerians are gathered, lateness is guaranteed. Do we understand where I'm going? I'm not trying to insult anyone. I'm just saying that if we are to be the epitome of Black excellence, the epitome of African excellence, we need to display it. We need to do better. We need to be a lot more inclusive, a lot more exclusive. a lot more excellent in our behavior. So if we come into a meeting like this and we start late, for crying out loud, how on earth are we going to show people that we are worth following or we're worth emulating? If our music, no disrespect, does not include other, do you get what I'm saying? What's the point? So I've had an amazing time with you guys. I've had an amazing time. I would love to come again and again. If you invite me, if you don't, it's okay. Do you get what I'm saying? But I feel, guys, that we can't be disregarding the Nigerians in Nigeria when we're doing just as bad a job as Nigerians in America. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry. Can I drop my mic now?
All right. So we'll take a break now. Um, no, I mean it's the next. It's going to be question and answers. For right now, I want us to take a break. At the right at the back, there is all manner of Nigerian dishes for us to treat ourselves to. So, can we take that break and we can come back for a Q&A? A round of applause for my panelists.